Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is doing pretty good today. I hope everyone's feeling pretty good tonight. It was a good day for me. I went out and got a tattoo. It's not done. It's going to be 3 stages: elbow to shoulder. Um, it's something I wanted to do for a while, and now I was able to do it now, because at the time, my wife didn't like it, and she's not a big tattoo person, and I held it off for a while, but I decided to get one now, and I felt good about it. It looks good. Um, hey, listen, I want to talk about, not being enemies with your significant other, right? Because, as you know, the other day I wasn't feeling too good because I was having a little bit of issues with my wife, and because I haven't seen my kid yet. I haven't seen my kid yet, believe it or not. I will see her tomorrow. I'm picking up tomorrow from school. And today I was actually on FaceTime with my wife. She needed a hand with something. She wanted me to help her out with something, and I was able to do that. I was being cordial. I didn't have to do it. I could just blew her off, and then I helped her with a couple things earlier today. Today I helped her with a couple of things earlier, that important documents, as far as insurance and stuff like that. So I was able to um, maneuver things around and get it done for her. She was happy about that. I didn't have to do it, but like I said, it's good to be cordial. You don't have to be enemies, because at the end of the day, it might just benefit you guys to be friends. You don't have to be enemies. You do have the kid together, so and also even if you don't have a kid, you don't have to be enemies. I mean, if it depends on how to end it too, I guess. If it was mutual and you decide to go your separate ways, be friends, that's good too, because I mean, you were married, you have history together, right? You don't need to be enemies. This is somebody you love and married, and you spend a great deal of time together, and you can't just brush them off. I guess you just have to say at the end of the day, hey, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I wish it did, but you take care of yourself, and I'm going to remember all the good times we had, and if you ever need me for anything, just give me a call. You can end it like that. You don't have to be enemies, and you might even see each other down the road, and and be cordial and be nice to each other, because sometimes you can rekindle something later on. Because maybe when you got married, it wasn't the right time. I'm not saying that's going to happen to me, but I'm just saying it could happen to other people, and it does happen. Sometimes it works the second time around. um, I mean, the percentage is very low because you were married, but people do get remarried, and sometimes it works out. I guess you'll know what not to do next time, and you can be more of the person she met instead of the person that you became. Does that make sense? But so we had a good day today. I was able to FaceTime and see my daughter, and um, like I said, I spoke with my wife on FaceTime. Everything seems to be cool. It's the first time she ever done that in almost a year. So maybe she's realizing that she doesn't have to be you know um, impossible to work with. There's no reason for that anyway. Like I said, she knows what she did, and she knows what I did, and maybe she's realizing she doesn't have to be like that. I don't know. She knows that she hurt me and stuff like that, and she knows I'm doing better. But I'm sure she knows. I'm sure she knows that I'm never going to forget about what happened during my dark times too. I think. I mean, she was a great wife when we were married. I think just in the last 2 years, like I said before in one of my videos, that it was the last 2 years it was going downhill. And we were arguing a lot, and just we couldn't recover. We just couldn't recover. And to be honest with you, if I just really listened to her and did what she asked me to do, I'll still be married. That's just the bottom line. Like I said, I was the one that pushed her away. And it was my behavior at the end of the day. I'm going to admit to that. I'm not. I mean, I didn't like the way how it ended, but um, because it kind of ended on a sour note, and I didn't ever get any closure either, to be honest with you, you know. And you're probably not going to get none either, to be honest with you. And that's something you're going to have to deal with. Closure is you giving yourself closure, because sometimes you're not going to get it from your significant other, whether it's a man or a woman. Just be aware of that. You know, sometimes you just have to like move forward. That's what you're gonna have to do. And just the bottom line is something you're gonna have to do. You can just you know when it's over. When it's over, it's over. It's nothing to do about that. But you know, but you can always be friends and be cordial. It's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be tough, obviously. You know, and you're still gonna have these pop-ups that come up on Facebook or Instagram. You know, it's just gonna happen. You know, you're gonna have to. You know, you're gonna have to delete them, or maybe hold on to them for memories, and maybe delete them later when you meet someone. Most people, that's what they do. I have a lot of videos and photos of all of us, me, my wife, and my kid, and a lot of just me and my wife, even before we had our kid, you know, and there were some great pictures and videos, and we had such a good time. And it's a damn shame that, you know, it ended up being the way it is. You know, we ended up in this position here. Because I'm sure she sees him too, and I'm pretty sure he or she sees him too, and probably feel bad about it. I don't think they don't. If they tell you they don't, they're lying to you. I'm sure they do, because they're gonna remember those pop-ups, and they're gonna see, oh man, I remember this day. We had a good time that day, you know, and and they probably gonna be sad about it. You know, my wife moved on, but I'm sure she's sad about it too, because I've seen some of their pictures before she blocked me that she had taken, and she looks sad. She might not be sad now, but she did look sad. I don't think that's something neither one of us wanted to do, was get a divorce. But at the end of the day, I guess she felt she just had no choice. Maybe she thought I wasn't going to change or anything like that. But so she checked out. And it's just the way it is. It's, you know, if I could have done something differently, I mean, in retrospect, now that I think back, I would have definitely done it. You know, I would have just stopped the silliness and stopped the pettiness, and, you know, and listen to what she was telling me, and I'll still be married. I'll be home right now. I won't be in my new house over here, you know, and you know, I won't be going through the stuff that I'm going through right now. I'd be home right now. I would probably be home chilling, watching a movie, or hanging out with my wife. My daughter goes to sleep early. My wife goes to sleep a little early too, but she's up now. But we could have been hanging out, watching a movie together, or whatever. You know, it sucks. It really does suck. But at the end of the day, there's nothing you can do about it. So my advice to you would be to just, you know, just be cordial. You don't, like I said, you don't have to be enemies. You know, I know this because, you know, I do have my ups and downs, you know, and when I do have my ups, I feel like everything is going to be okay. I really do. I feel like, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, I feel pretty good. You know, it is what it is. And we can be friends, and, you know, and maybe who knows what could happen in the future. You know, I don't know. Nobody knows. And sometimes I have my downs a lot of times, you know, more ups and downs, but I do have my downs, like when I'm here by myself at night. And especially on the weekends when I know I can't be with her. She's with somebody else. She's with somebody else. That's the hard part. You know, knowing that she's with someone else is the hard part. You know, it only took her 2 months to meet someone, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe she's bouncing, or she's, you know, maybe she was vulnerable and she met somebody who was nice, and he just happens to be there at the right time, you know, and that's how it usually works for men and women. When you're vulnerable and somebody's there at the right time, giving you the attention, they're nice and they're kind, you're going to gravitate towards that, because it's going to make you feel better after you felt, you know, bad for months and months at a time. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is with men and women. I mean, it could have, you know, look at it from my point of view, it could have been me that checked out, you know, and I would have been doing the same thing she's doing, to be honest with you. But now that I think about it, now that I'm going through this, you know, if I'd known how she would have felt, like the way I'm feeling now, there's no way in heck that I would have done that. I mean, I would have left or something, but I don't think I would have gravitated to someone very quickly. I mean, I just don't. I don't operate like that. I can't go from a 11-year marriage, to meet somebody and 2 months later. It's just I don't work like that. I don't operate like that. I don't put my foot on the gas like that, so to speak. It's not me. I've never been like that. Um, because you're not giving your brain, and your body time to like decompress. It just 2 months is not enough time. Because a couple of months down the road you could be contemplating getting back together. But as soon as you meet someone, as soon as you met someone, it was all downhill from there. And I lost my ability to get her back. The thing is that it's something I'm gonna have to deal with. But like I said, you can be friends. There's nothing wrong with being friends. Because if you're friends and you feel good about it, then you're gonna feel good and not too bad at night. You're gonna keep yourself occupied. Get out of the house, go to the gym, go do something, invite some friends over, play some board games, drink a little bit. At least you're home. But if drinking is gonna make you depressed, just don't drink. And definitely don't do drugs. I mean, over-the-counter medication is good. Just read the description and make sure it's not gonna harm you. That's it. Bottom line, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna survive. We're all going to survive. Trust me. I've been doing a lot of reading and stuff here about relationships and coping with separation and pending divorces and stuff like that. And everyone that's going through this has gone through the same thing. Some worse than others because it's different for everybody. For me, like I said, I did it on my own, and I was in a really dark place for 6-7 months, 8 months, and I had to crawl out this hole. I climbed out of the hole that I was in by myself, and it was brutal. And I mean, I didn't have a support system, so that's why. If you have a support system right away, you're obviously going to heal faster and quickly, and that's what you want. That's really what you want. It's going to clear your mind, your head of everything. You're going to look back and say, we tried it and it just didn't work. It just didn't work. Maybe it was the bad timing. It could be a number of things. You just don't know. But a lot of times you can, if you're friends and you do the things that you have to do down the road, like exercise, get healthy, improve your looks, your physique, have a positive outlook on life, and if you're a different person, if you are a different person, I guarantee you they're gonna notice that down the road. They're gonna notice that, hey, Robert's he's a different person, man. He's not the same guy, man. It's great. It's great. I wish she was like that when we were together, and you never know, you might rekindle something, you just don't know. That's not something I'm looking forward to. I'm just gonna like move on, and because if I meet someone and I really like that person and all of a sudden my wife wants to get back together, I might not want to get back with her. It's just the way it is. And if I'm single and she's single and if everything is good and we talk, and because we do have a kid together, you never know, we might get back together. I don't know. I mean, I would get back, even with what I went through, I would definitely get back with my wife, because at the end of the day, she's a great girl. She was a great wife, and she's a great mom. Like I said, all she asked me to do is just check my behavior, and if I would have just listened to her, I'd still be married, because my wife, at the end of the day, she wanted to do it with me. She wanted to be with me. She wanted to do it with me, but she just couldn't handle the drama. It was just too much for her. There was a lot going on there, a lot of, friction, over dumb, petty stuff. It was all petty stuff, but it compounded, and eventually she checked out, and that's how it is, just like if you were someone and you're arguing all the time, all the damn time, no matter how much you love them, man, you're going to get sick and tired of hearing it. And you're gonna be done. No matter how much you love that person, you're gonna be done. Especially if you gave them a number of chances, and they haven't changed. Yes, they might change for a month or two because they don't want you to leave, but and at the end of the day, you're going to check out, just the way it is. You're done. You're going to be convinced that they're not going to change, and you're going to leave, and you're going to be permanently gone. And it's just the way it is. For me, I'm kind of like in that boat a little bit, but I mean, know what I know now. I mean, I'm definitely not that same person I was last year. That's for sure. I learned a lot from this, and I've grown. And I know that the next relationship I get into, when I do get into it, I'm going to know what not to do. If I like that person, trust me, I'm going to be not that person. And they're going to benefit from it. They're going to benefit from it, and this is probably when your ex is going to say, no, why couldn't you do that when we were together? Why did it have to take something, dramatic for you to change? And sometimes, this is something that you might have to go through to change who you are. Just bottom line. You're going to have to go through something like this to change the person who you are, because you might have been doing this to all your relationship. You might have sabotaged all of your relationships, even your marriage, because you were brought up by a certain type, or you grew up in a city like I did, and my wife grew up in a lake house in New Jersey. Different background. She came from a really good family, and I came from kind of like a busted family a little bit, so to speak. You come from a Puerto Rican household living in the city. It's different. You get into fights. You're being brought up a certain way. I had 5 uncles. So it transforms who you are growing up. You become this certain type of person because of the way you were brought up. But I mean, I was always a good person deep down inside. But and my wife knew I was. That's why she loved me, and she married me, and she had my kid. But somewhere down the road, she just didn't like the person I became. The person that she met, I was no longer that person. And that's why I have to change. That's why we all have to change everything about us. So sometimes, like I said, this is something that probably you needed. I hate to say it, but this is probably something you needed to change who you are, because the person you are is not the person who you should be. Your marriage is this person here, and this is the person that, has your best interest, who could, change who you are in general. I didn't really like the person I was before I met her anyway, to be honest with you. I was doing some stuff I didn't like. I mean, I wasn't doing drugs or anything like that, but I mean, she changed me, for the better. She did. That's just why I'm not going to be as mad as I am with this divorce with, I guess her, because at the end of the day, she was a really good woman, and I lost it. I lost it. I let it slip away. I let it die. And we all are going through this right now, and right now it's super challenging, and you have to just move forward. We got to move forward. There's nothing we can do about it. You have to live and learn from your mistakes. Like I said, it's gonna hurt a lot, especially for the people who are going through it. Like now. I'm a year into it almost, and for the people who are going through this right now, it's gonna be really hard and challenging for you and brutal. You have to have a support system. I didn't have one. I'm hoping you have a support system, family, friends, therapy, counseling. Read. It's good to have a couple of books to deal with your coping skills. I've done that. I've read some. It's just, but the thing is that we waited too late to do that. I mean, you can't predict the future, but if we would have known this was going to happen, I'm sure all of us would have done something different, without a doubt, especially if we loved this person and wanted to be with them. And I couldn't imagine, this time last year, I couldn't imagine being in this position ever. I thought I was going to be with my wife forever. I swear to God. But the last 2 years, we were arguing a lot, and like I said, we just couldn't recover. We tried, and she gave me a couple of chances. She did. I was warned too by her mom, her dad, my friends, my uncle. They said, Robert, what are you doing, dude, man? She's a good girl, man. What are you doing? And at that time, man, I wasn't thinking clearly, and I was like, I couldn't, it was inconceivable that my wife would leave me. So I looked at it, there's no way and then it happened, so, it just goes to show you, no matter who you think you are or who you with, and you think that person loves you so much that they're never going to leave, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. If you don't change who you are, they're going to check out. They're going to wake up one day and say, listen, I cannot live like this any longer. I got to go. And they're going to go because they're going to know that, years are going to go by and nothing's changed. And next thing you know, you're 50, you're 60 years old, and you're still doing the same thing that you're doing. And, and now you're too old to start over. Do you really want to start over at 60-something years old? Nobody wants to start at 60-something years old. I mean, you're going to be alone. Nobody wants to be alone. Who wants to be alone? Nobody wants to be alone. I certainly don't want to be alone. I mean, I'm lonely in this house. I like the house that I purchased and everything like that. I'm glad I was able to, I had the ability to get it. And, I had to do minimum cosmetic work on here, but I'm sad in this house. I'm very sad to be in this house. I bought the house in October, which is like, it was getting colder out, and, I was stuck in the house more than I was outside because of the weather. But there's no activity in this house. I'm sad in here. I haven't been single since '99. I was always in a couple of long-term relationships, and never really been single, in 26 years, 27 years. And this is a reality check for me. This is something that I have to get adjusted to. And it's kind of hard, man. I had a little, talk with my brother today. I told him, man, I said, I wish I can go through this much quicker, but because I didn't have a support system, it's taking me longer, and I hate it. I hate feeling the way I feel. I'm sad, and we're all gonna feel like that, and the only thing you can do is, move forward, find a support system, somebody that's gonna be there for you, especially for the people who are gonna go through it now. Like I said, you're in for some really challenging times, and you have to be focused, man. You have to make sure you eat. You gotta eat healthy. Don't go out eating all the time. Stay at home and cook. Learn to cook. Invite friends over. Have company over. Go somewhere where there's a crowd. Coffee shops. Malls. I golf for a living, right? Not professionally, but I like to golf, and I haven't went golfing in almost a year. It's ridiculous, I'm thinking about buying myself a net and go in the backyard and hitting some balls before I go back out into the course. And I know when I get back to doing that, that's gonna make me feel good. It really is. It makes you concentrate anyway, especially when you go to a range, not a range, but to a golf course. You have to concentrate. So that's healthy for you. If take up a new hobby, something that you're gonna enjoy doing, or something that you used to enjoy doing and no longer do. Go back to doing what you did before. That's gonna help you too. And also, rekindle some of your friends, your relationship with some of your friends that you haven't seen in a while. I'm sure they're gonna be happy to see you, and then maybe you won't detach from them, ever again for some reason. But definitely, it's gonna be some challenging times. But like I said, I had a good day today, and I'm happy about that. So I feel good. Now I'm gonna I don't feel too bad tonight. I don't feel sad, so that's a good thing. I had a good conversation with my wife today, and I FaceTime her, for Christ's sake. That's like insane, I was on the phone. I haven't spoken to my wife on the phone in like a long, long time, and this is the first time I talked to her on the phone. And then I FaceTime her because I had to help her with something, and that was great. And she actually stayed on for a lot longer than what I thought she was going to stay on, and That was good. She was able to see me, like physically, kind of, you know. She can match, you know, and who knows what she was thinking about when she saw me. But so this was good. That was a good day. This is a good day. I feel good about it, and that's what I want you to do. I want you to just focus up here, concentrate up here and here. It's you're gonna be going through some trials and tribulations, man. But you want to be looking forward. You want to be looking forward to what's ahead. Good times, good vibes, good energy. Surround yourself with people who have good energy. That's what you want. Stay away from negative people. Just gonna bring you down. So as always, listen, please subscribe to my channel. Give a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that notification. I want to get this out there because, like I said, I'm reaching a lot of people and it's benefiting a lot of people. Everybody needs to hear what I have to say because we've gone through this. We know what you're about to go through this, and it's just going to benefit them. Even if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, it's going to benefit them. Everybody needs someone to talk to. Everyone needs advice. And I spoke to someone today I just met who just got married, and I told him, I said, listen, I don't want to give you any advice, but I'm going to give you, 2 advice that you definitely going to have to adhere to, And I told him, I said, listen, don't argue over petty stuff, man. It's just not worth it. At the end of the day, just walk away. It's going to cause you problems, and it's going to stack up, and she's going to check out. And don't ever stop sleeping in the same bed together because, when you sleep together in the same bed, you create a bond, and she won't be so mad in the morning when she wakes up. But I remember my wife telling me that all the time, you need to start sleeping in my bed. But again, listen, stay strong up here and here. Okay. And, and everything will be all right. You're going to be okay. We're going to go through this together. Okay. Together. And as always, leave a comment. I'll be more than happy to respond to your comment, no matter what it is. I'm thinking about going on a hiking trail, Thursday, in Baltimore County. I'm going to give you some more, information on that, tomorrow. And if anyone wants to go, they can meet me there. I already put it on my page, my channel, where I'm going to go. I think it's be healthy for you. It will definitely benefit you. And if no one comes, that's totally fine. Maybe everybody's working, but maybe we can do it on a Saturday, which will probably be a lot better. But for me, I want to start, just going on hiking trails and stuff like that. I think it's going to be clear my mind, be around nature. That's what you want. So listen, I am going to leave you guys. Like I said, get it out there. I would really appreciate it. I'm going to help my channel out. And as always, be strong here and here. And I check you guys out tomorrow morning, all right? Stay clear, be safe, be strong. Take care, and have a good night.